Thanks. Welcome to Origin Stories. I'm Tim Rathman, my co-host Steve Leeds, and we got a great guest on the show today, Troy Tittlemier. And I wanted to sort of just first talk about what Origin Stories is. Really, in a nutshell, it's the idea that came together just to preserve legacy. Knowledge, experiences. We're all three geologists here, which will be pretty fun, I think, today. But we want to talk to people who are inspiration to us, who have kind of started out their career path, whether oil and gas or geology, but then has recently made a pivot for whatever reason. There's a lot of people out there that are looking for motivation. There are a lot of people have pivoted just to do the nature of either their entrepreneurship or the industry being in oil and gas. That's the background of it. If I want to, I'll turn it over to Steve to introduce, Troy, but I appreciate you being on the show. We're really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Anyway, and you introduced our guest, Troy Tittlemier. Hey, man, thanks so much for coming on our show, our little podcast here.
Right on. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
So I'm going to just call the elephant in the room right away. You must have taken a beating in grade school with that name. Seriously.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I definitely did, but being on, with the guys and whatever in the gym, that goes, it's a confidence builder, if anything.
Just like going bald. That's what I say about golden ball, man. I have greater confidence now. You have to, right?
That's right.
No, that's funny. I was red hair and freckled, so I totally get it, man.
Yeah, your old pictures are shocking.
Mine? Oh, dude, tell me about it. Yeah. Where'd you find that anyway?
Right.
And then, okay, so we love starting with your favorite concert, your first concert that you attended, or most memorable, or whatever one. Just give us something, a concert experience.
Give us a story.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe this was just asked. This goes way back. I was 15 years old. My brother was in the Air Force, and he's stationed at Las Vegas, and ICP, Insane Clown Posses.
Oh my God.
ICP.
I can still rap some of those songs, I will admit. And we were juggalos, man. We painted our faces. We literally went to this concert, and I don't even remember what part of Vegas it was. It was this tiny shoebox we all squeezed into, and sure, ICP's on the stage, man. And there were mosh pits and huge redneck dudes that came out, I don't know where. And man, it was an experience for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, that's excellent. That's excellent. That's a good one, man. I'm glad, Tim, that you made us keep that in there. I was trying to eliminate that question from the show, and he said, no, do the music question.
Yeah, it takes a grown man to paint her face like a clown. So well done.
Well, maybe you're not a grown man at 15 though. So there you go. That's your out.
Man.
All right, man. So let's go ahead. So Troy, again, really, really thrilled to have you and to get to meet you and hear what's going on, hear what your story's about. And so I'll just turn it over to you. Give us a little background. How'd you get to the beginning of this new journey? Let's just call it your new journey.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to share the story, and I love the idea of origins and what you guys are doing. This legacy, capturing legacy, is a huge deal, and I guess I started developing that later in my college years. It was after a near-death experience, unfortunately, through a motocross accident, and that's the jersey that I hang on the wall behind me. That's the one that was cut off me that day, and so and it's. The pain reminds you every day, right? You're left with these injuries, you're left with these broken bones and these scars on your skin. And that's just something that you gain through life, either inside your heart or your mind or physically. So physically, I have these reminders. And so that's the way I live my life. I know that this is a scar today, and that later, we're going to remember this, and that it's going to be seen. It's going to be heard. It's, that's what we do. It's the trail. It's the trail we lead, right? And that's the first professor, and she was married to a geologist, and that's the first geologist I met. And he goes, pay attention to how geologists think oil and gas is made on this planet. And kind of oversimplifying it, he just kind of shoved me off in that direction. And I'm going, whoa, why did he tell me those things?
Wow.
job shadowed the first geologist, Sean O'Connor out of Era Energy. This guy was outstanding, just amazing. Dave Miner was at the time, exploration geologist. And I walk into Era Energy. I'm going, what the?
Wow.
This is amazing.
It's in California?
Yeah.
Right.
Bakersfield, California.
Yep.
I mean, just the first experience of whoa, geologists are interesting folks. We had to get access cards to do what we do. Like, what are we, CIA agents?
Right.
I look at the maps. They're like, keep your eyes down.
We had to, when we had core laid out, if somebody came in, man, we had to cover it all up. I mean, that's top secret stuff, dude.
So I'm going, all right, I'm digging this. And so I switch. I want to be a doctor of osteopathy where I can do spinal manipulation and prescribe medicines. I believe in both. I don't think either one is the solution. So I chased that down. I said, whoa, that's going to be a lot of time, a lot of money. Let's try to do something else. Picked up a geology book, Intro to Geology. I'm going, wow, I like these concepts. I like this idea of applied science, not black box, like detailed. Here's how the law of physics is working, science, applying those ideas or those truths that we have as people and as our understanding of the physical world, applying that. How does that hold up when you're actually standing out there? And I rode dirt bikes my whole life, so I know physics. and so I just loved it. I did. I loved it. And I said, I got to go into the oil and gas business. So 2 years left of undergrad, made that happen through Dr. Bilodeau and California Lutheran University, one of the most outstanding geology campuses. Yeah, schools in California, without question. I can say that with confidence because I went to SDSU for the field camp and I was immediately at the top of the class. And I was not at the top of the class at CLU. There were Derek Fields and these other guys that were just outstanding geologists. And I'm very competitive. So I always want to be, the best I can be. And so I show up in SDSU and I'm going, whoa, these guys, this is a different little bit different level. And so I thank Dr. B for dragging us through the coals like he did. And it was sink or swim as a geologist. It was ruthless. It was Machiavellian, which is reality, Well,
but that's so amazing how you have the guy, man. That's the guy. That's the inspiration. There you go. I mean, so how much of your new legacy, you building your legacy now, is based on the legacy of Dr. Bill? That's excellent, man. That's so great.
Man, and so I built this kind of idea, I guess, and I didn't know I was doing this at the time, but I really was kind of enamored with mentors, and I really was like, man, who are these people in my life that are like successful? And my uncle was, there are a lot of people that just stood out when I thought about it. I'm going, whoa, why is Russ Potter? And these names that I'm dropping are just these incredibly powerful people in my life that just, when I hear them speak, I remember, I don't remember everybody, but I remember these certain ones. And so I started paying more attention to that and being a reflection of my mentors, taking on a responsibility that I wanted to make them proud. That I wanted to do something that said, you know what, when they're talking about me, maybe they say something that's off the wall, but it's also true. And they like, what I'm doing. So I burden all that, and so everything I do, it's not just I'm a portal of energy of all these mentors and a reflection of these people that led me down this and helped me down this trail. And I know I'm leaving a trail, so it might as well be the deepest inside valley I could be.
Trailblazer.
Jeez, dude, that is you completely blew me away. You took the whole thing in a direction that's wow. Me. I mean, that is the meaningful stuff. That's the stuff you build all the other stuff on, right? I mean, that's the core. That's the vision. That's the meaning. That's the purpose. That's really why we're here, not to go too far down there, but you opened it up, so wow, very powerful story, Troy.
Yeah, well, and you did some name drops as well, and I'm familiar with those names. I got my geology degree from UC Santa Barbara, just up the coast from you.
No way.
And some of the professors, that were kind of, they invoke fear in you out in the field to some degree, that you want to do the best looking map, and that's motivating. It's neat to hear. I can relate to you.
Well, and like we've said before, what's cool is just exactly what you said, that you had these people, and there's not many but they change your life. You know, they give you the choice. They show you that you can change your life, and you do that. And that breeds that desire to want to become that person.
Yeah.
And change somebody else's life. Right. And wow, I'm envious. I'm envious because you got there a lot quicker than me. You know, you got to that point early on. And so you have, man, think of the people you're able to impact and influence and change, man, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Well, I appreciate you saying it like that. I really do. It's hard. Most of the time you're not thinking that way. I'll be completely honest. I have to have times where you're thinking selfish, right? You have a plate of food to put in front of your babies and a house to hold, you know, your love and your family and protect them. I mean, you have to have some ruthlessness about you at the end of the day. You can't disconnect the fact that that's true and that's in us. It's innate in us. But if I feel like it's a lot like staking a claim, which I'm just learning more about. You have these points where you have to go drive wooden stakes into the ground, and there's no one with you, and there's no trail. You looking, and you know you've got to go 600 feet in that direction. GPS is going to get you locked in. That's kind of the same thing. I know that I'm sticking as truthful as possible to the nth degree because I know the mean trail that's being left behind, and I got to live with that trail. We all do. And so that's my inspiration. I have the goals. I have these visions. But at the end of the day, you better be taking it step by step, because when you're out on the field and you're on the side of a mountain, if you're not looking down and you know that you need to go that way, but you're going to go all kinds of different ways. There's going to be snakes involved. There's going to be riding slides. I mean, it's crazy out there in real life.
It's crazy.
It reminds me of day to day. It reminds me of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm watching my steps and I'm looking for like, what's the next little step around that next bush? But I have this vision. I have these goals, and I have these people around me that keep me, you know, hey, what's going on with that? What's the latest with this? Why do you have 10 things going on at once?
Man, well, and what you have is that journey, that jersey behind you. See, and having that helps you see every little piece of gratitude. You know, I mean, just the fact that to have that experience that, you know, we all have something. You know, I talk about, you know, you follow me enough. I talk about my lows, you know, some of the things that, like you said, that's the path I took. Would I change it? Well, I can anyway, and I have to accept it and use that to do a greater good now. Yeah. You know, the path is a path. Here's where we are. Make sure you make the most of it. Now, I can't change that. You know, how you got here is not how you're going to get there, you know, and all those cliches and man, to recognize that so early and be doing stuff. So how do you see, so how does that fit in with what you're doing? I mean, I can see MagmaChem. We want to hear about that, feeding something, and the podcast feeding, you know, how does that work now? How do you see the PBE and where you're at right now help feed that system, that belief system?
Yeah, man. So going back to just the idea of, you know, being a geologist, E&P company, and this Troy Resources giving me the opportunity to do what I did and be involved in the societies and allowed to give presentations on our projects, you know, that was a huge step in that direction for me. And I wouldn't be the same person without that experience, for sure, because I got to see the benefits of a society, a benefit of a network that really care about each other, and you're really there, and you're really making discoveries and stuff. So that was a huge eye opener to me. Like, whoa, man, the geology community is amazing. And at the end of the day, I mean, we are just barely scratching the surface on a lot of concepts. And
so diverse.
Yep. Never lost the sight of that. My curiosity in undergrad, and Dr. Bilodeau would say this, my questions and my comments were always after the anomalies and always after the assumptions that were built around those anomalies. I always loved that. I always was like, whoa, you know, so what's going on?
That's what drove you to Paul Devine, because he's an anomaly guy too. Remember when you interviewed Paul Devine? Yeah. You're the petrophysicist with not petrophysics, you know, or whatever it is. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Yes, Paul Devine. I have two Devines, and I was thinking the other Devine, but Paul Devine, yes. I loved when we called him and he goes, man, I want to talk about just the what did he, oh man, we had it in the beginning of the show. I'm blanking on his terminology.
Yeah, I don't know.
Reservoir Analytics is his company, but anyway, hold on.
But searching the anomaly, seek the anomaly.
Seeking the anomalies, listening to the assumptions we're making as geoscientists that have been accepted, that have been written and printed and published, and you're telling me that's fact. You're telling me I have to think this way. I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. I don't mind thinking that way, but it's not the way that I'm thinking. I know something else is going on. It's the nature of our beast. There's something else going on. I'm not telling the rocks what's going on. The rocks are telling me. So that led me down to constantly just banging on doors and asking questions at these conventions. And I became that guy that was like, guaranteed he's asking a question today.
Totally.
Don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
Matter. If you're on stage and you're yapping, I want to know more.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I know you guys. I know your type.
So I start, this network starts building, and I realize, man, I'm surrounded by such amazing people. I'm so thankful that, this curiosity and this will to just keep pounding my head against the wall. It allows me to meet people like you guys and everybody else in my network. And I go, man, I started asking people, would you do a podcast and just talk about your experience in the Permian Basin? Without reservation? Everybody would love to do that. And I'm like, I would love to talk to you about it. Wow. So we did it. And then what we didn't realize was that, man, this really works. This is engaging, and it naturally displays what's working in the industry because we're working in it. So we're not talking about stuff that people aren't paying for. We're talking about the stuff everyone's using because, well, it works. Everyone's using it. So there's a lot of money there. There's a lot of attention. There's a lot of interesting things that are now considered like guerrilla marketing behind podcasting. We all have very interesting things to talk about all day, but can you be consistent? Can you be constantly flooding social media with really good, engaging things and building that network and keeping it tight, keeping everyone on the road? Very challenging to do. For us, it was very simple because it was local, Midland, geologists, engineers. It was totally new. It was very exciting, very, very exciting in the beginning. And then Icon Science says, hey, we want to bring you to the live show. Let's do it on the showroom floor.
Wow. That was probably one of the early live shows. I mean, do you remember ever seeing that before? Were people already doing live shows?
No, not live. No, I'd never even seen. No, I mean, no.
Wow.
Joe Rogan was the guy that everyone was kind of building it off of, and it's always recorded. When's the last time you saw Joe Rogan go live? Joe Rogan, let's go live, dude. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it live. And that's where that amazing energy is at. And that's where I like to live. It's in the moment, right? We're breathing, we're living, and we're feeding, and we're in the moment. And when you start going into good things in the moment, it's that's what we're capturing. And
you're tapping in, man. You're tapping in, right? I mean, somehow there's another energy source, man, that you're that's the in the flow thing, right? That's the in the flow. And man, that is sounds like what you're describing is that happy place, man. And I get that. It's that spontaneity and the live interaction with, which is what we're all missing now. We're all missing that now.
That's right.
That's the dynamics, the dynamics, the uncertainty, always talking to new people, always, learning something new.
It's a lifelong learner, right? I mean, it's just, wow. I mean, what a great position. That's what kind of one of our goals too, is like, suddenly we can talk to guys like you and there's so much to learn out there. There's so much interesting information and you just need to stay engaged because that helps keep you up too, mentally up. And it's rough out there right now. And you need whatever it takes to keep the spirits up and to keep moving forward and keep seeing that there's opportunities. And that's why I love this story, man. I mean, you help show people the possibilities. Look at the possibilities, and that's fabulous, dude. Really, really, that's great. And so go on. Let me keep going.
Well, I love listening to you talk. It's great. You're like,
it's kind of soothing. He's sometimes, maybe as I listen to him at night, he can help put me like a pacifier.
Well, I must have the micro dose dialed down exactly right. I don't know.
I can't sleep. I'm going to call Steve and have him talk to me.
Just tell me anything. I got you.
That's why I did so well in sales, my friend.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
No, so tell us about MagmaChem. Tell us about MagmaChem, because that fits into a little bit of the anomaly story there, right? I mean, tell us about that.
exactly. I mean, it wasn't the simple fact that these experience with everybody that was exciting. It was, this kind of unwritten detail of these conversations when you're sitting around the table at these events or at these dinners or in the backyard around the fireplace, and you have all these you have that community circling through, and everyone's getting little new tidbits of information, right? This is where it happens.
Oh, boy.
Where we actually figure shit out. Well, I constantly was challenging and asking, and what do you think about diamondoids? Why are there diamonds in oil?
Wow.
And they're going, diamonds and oil? And then some people go, oh, well, diamonds and oil, well, that's because, and I'm like, I'm reading the papers on why you're telling me that's because. I'm asking you, what is going on? There's some kind of high temperature, high pressure. There's something going on, diamondoids in oil. Yeah. And then all these other anomalies that we find in the data that I can't stop thinking about. Wow. So I started having those conversations along with creating this podcast. I started realizing that there is an opportunity to talk about the fundamentals of what we do and a fundamental understanding of how we exploit these reservoirs, how we produce, why we target what we do with this money. And that's fascinating. And so I constantly had that curiosity, and I would insert it wherever I can, comfortably in conversation. There's no reason to just spiral off into pure debates. That doesn't do anything in a podcast. I want to know your experience. So that's what we started doing. And that's how the show really was developing. And I was learning a ton from them. I was asking, and then they were inspired, like, Stoney might kill me for this, or maybe Rodco will. But we had Stoney Pollock from Faskin Oil and Ranch on the show, and that was after we did the show with the two geologists that he's managing now, Ronco Bianco, and we call him Baby Girl, but he's what's his actual name? Anyway.
Oh my God! I love us, man. I love this industry, man. It's just quirky as hell. It's great.
Right. And Ronco and Baby Girl, they're saying, dude, Stoney, what'd you do in that show? He showed up. He's all excited the next day. He was fired up.
Wow.
Fired up from our show. He was fired up, just spending a couple hours drinking some beers, talking about rocks and his experience and our questions. So there's something going on here. Yeah. Icon saw it. They said, hey, we'll pay you to go on. Because we had jobs. I'm going, hey, we can't do this for free. And they're like, all right, what do you want? Go, whoa. Well, this kind of, all right, we'll pay you this. I go, well, they go, we'll double it. I go, okay. We're there. Consider it done. And
I love it, man. I love it. And I'm going to throw this out to, doff out to you, because that's part of what attracted me to PBE was that your kind of personality, your presence on the show. It's just this very authentic, very, very authentic, man. And that's hard to do. It's not easy to do like this, and I remember watching your live show, and there was some little issue I can't remember the details now, and how you managed that. And it's like, man, so you've got, you're way ahead of us, again. So that's why we appreciate all the expert advice, man, all the knocks and bruises and cuts.
That's right. All right. So continue with Icon and then MagmaChem has been trickling in. I crossed paths with MagmaChem in 2016, 2017. There was a Delaware Basin Playmaker event. One of the MagmaChem scientists was working for a company then. And so I'm like, man, what's going on? And I had these questions. I'm reading up on them, and I'm going, man, you guys are thinking about rocks totally different, not a little different. This is a paradigm shift, a complete paradigm shift. At the same time, I'm challenging myself intellectually going, are we in a paradigm shift? Is the model that we're using to get wellbores drilled and why we frack the way we do, the whole concept of oil and gas, is there something major change is happening that's approaching? And then MagmaChem, and I'm going, okay, well, here is a completely viable option to interpret the exact same data you've been looking at this whole time in a completely new way. And it's more predictable, it's more specific, and it's repeatable.
Wow.
It's repeatable. It works. And they have an unbelievable history. So I start diving into this. I'm going, whoa, who is Stan Keith, Monty Swan? Read their publications, listen to their story through MagmaChem Research Institute. And so, in a sense, what you guys are doing, capturing the legacy, I sold everything I had, invested everything I had to Stan Keith and MagmaChem and the whole team he's been able to build through the years. And I said, you want to leave a legacy vehicle? I want to help. I want to learn it. I want to help lead this legacy. I want to do anything I can to be a part of this. And he goes, what the? He's like, I mean, if you come out here, let's see what happens. And I show up and he's going, holy shit. He still doesn't know. He's just like, oh, why? He's so happy that I did.
Oh, I'm sure.
And just like everybody else, I show up and then the bottom falls out in the industry. And I had all these ideas with podcasts and how we were able to make a viable business out of this. And I'm going to take a risk and go into mining and metals and climate geology, origin of life, everything MagmaChem is. I'm expanding myself as a geologist there. I have this business that might work. And then all of a sudden everything falls out. Everything falls out, right? Yeah. Contacts that used to be contacts are falling out. You got the political thing on top of it that are dividing. It was such an interesting, incredible time to do what I did for me personally. And Stan Keith's 72 years old, and he's standing there. Oh, who is this guy? Well, he found out in a year of doing everything I possibly can to stay true to my commitment to him and the legacy of MagmaChem, and to manage myself in a dire situation to continue to protect for my family and get food on the table. Right? How am I responding? I didn't come here for him to pull me onto this boat and just cruise along with him. We're building something together. He didn't. It wasn't even an option, right? And so he got to watch that happen and watch me react and watch me respond. Wow. And that has developed this mentorship that I would argue with any other 35-year-old and a 72-year-old that work professionally every day. I would argue that no one that is respecting and on the same feel as me and Stan Keith today. What we went through and how that developed, there was no other way to do it. I no matter how this goes, I will always have this incredible experience and memory of this last year and what I learned about myself, what I learned about people, what I learned about I mean, all of it. All of it. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
And you're bridging that generation gap, right? With the 30, 40 years old and the retired folks. I mean, that's hard to do, but it's important. So that's amazing.
And it's such a perfect example. I'm reading this book right now called Vision Code. And it's this about it's written by this legendary vision coach, Russian Dr. Oleg Konovalov, anyway. Right. And he just echoes a lot of other things I've read about having a vision. And the key is to get others on board that have that same vision. And in your case, you found the perfect vehicle to really exercise your vision. And that is the perfect combination, because you have taken on their, what do they call it? A crusade. They talk about leaders. He'll say in his book, people want to join a crusade. They don't want just a paycheck. We all need the paycheck. We got to have that paycheck. We got to have all that stuff, but I want meaning. I want my efforts every day to mean something bigger than the paycheck.
True explorer.
And just listening to your story, you were all set, man. You needed to find somewhere to plug in, and boom.
Wow.
I would suggest law of attraction, of course, that you had that out there and you brought that opportunity to you. And it just sounds like the perfect fit to me. It's man, good for all of you. And what a great thing for them. That's the classic win-win, right? In the sales world. So
yeah, that's how it ended up. That's certainly how it ended up. We had these great ideas. They all fumbled and it all turned into what it is. And it is what it is. We learned a lot. We're not digital guys. We're not website guys. We don't know how to do all that stuff. And we ran out of time and attention to do it. You start juggling all kinds of things and all kinds of stresses. But at the end of the day, I found Stan Keith and Monty Swan and Jan Rasmussen and the MagmaChem team at a point where they're like, this needs to be passed on. This needs to be said as fast and as accurate as possible. And this podcast thing seems really effective.
Wow.
And so that's where I merged the two. PBE podcast is the media. It allows us to challenge these ideas, have fun. It's not about debating. If you want to debate, I would love to do that. If you are honestly want to do that, I'd love to. But that's not what it's for. It's the media. It's for us to talk about it and to discover and all these just fun stuff and get people's experience. And then MagmaChem is truly the message. So I got them merged now. And as you guys know, we're going to reevaluate. Well, we're going to evaluate the Permian Basin through a MagmaChem perspective.
Got it.
A mud volcano system. It's not a detrital bowl that filled up through geologic time and you needed all this time to cook the hydrocarbon. No, hydrocarbon generation happens geologically instantaneous, and it's happening now all over the globe, all over the ocean floors. It's right in front of us. We just never had this detailed trail of the rocks and the chemistry in the rocks and put in structural complexity live in outcrops. That's what Stan's been doing his whole life. He was a true explorer, a true scientist. Just so much about him that I can't say enough. Him and his team, the MagmaChem team, they did it and they tracked it all and they wrote about it all. They're just incredibly, I don't know why.
Dude, this is the essence of origin stories. I'm going to say, I mean, this is cool. Thank you. That's such a great story, and the way you're passing it on, the whole thing of a legacy, spawns other legacies, and wow, and the influence you're going to have. I just really, man, thank you for all that. That's such a really, really nice story. And where's it go now? I mean, so how have you come through this? Are you still in it, or how's the future looking? What do you see?
Yeah, very much still in it. I mean, the industry is coming back, right? The oil and gas industry is certainly coming back. We're making new shows. We're getting sponsors. Like, it's kind of 2019 again in the podcast feel of excitement around creating content and getting their names out there, getting their companies out there. So it's kind of been that reshuffle. We survived it. I think we're now going to get ready to thrive again. We kept the ambers hot, the best we could. And then I started an oil and gas company. I believe in what I read. I believe in what I think and these ideas that I put together. And I have a whole new way of evaluating an area. And so I went out and got a startup loan and I got a lease, and they're producing wells and I'm trying to make them produce more. I'm involved.
Wow.
My interest is in enhanced oil recovery. How can you go to a field that is currently making consistently 10 barrels a day for the last 15 years? How can you get that thing to go 50 or 100? How can you drastically change the economics of this field and this area, this city? And that's a fascinating story in itself. I got some documentation that I hope to release soon of me being there and meeting the roustabouts and telling them this is my idea, and them going, whoa, like a light almost. And the light of the landowners going, I hope so. It was so,
dude. You're creating a crusade. You're creating a crusade and listen to that. You're doing exactly what you got sucked into. Wow, that's fantastic. And you're telling the story and they're like, yeah, I want to be a part of this story. Oh man, wow, way to go, dude. Very nice.
I just hitting the throttle like I do on my dirt bike for the most part.
Do you still ride?
I literally, I took my dad out there when I started this company in Texas, and Cycle Ranch is a cool motocross park that's been around forever. And I go, we got to go to Cycle Ranch. So we travel over there. He brought his dirt bike, of course, when we went, because he always does. And he was riding the track, and I was just watching. It's been years since I even watched my old man ride because of that accident and just being away from it. And oh man, I was like, Dad, give me your helmet.
Cool.
I called my wife. I said, babe, I got to take a lap or two. Is that cool? And she's like, please don't get hurt. And man, I haven't been on a brand new bike with EFI and just the modern suspension and chassis. I haven't been on that. I got on that thing and I went a half a turn and I was like, oh, wheeling, breaking loose, jumping. I'm going, oh my gosh, I feel so it just felt so natural. And I went 2 laps. I got off. My dad's like, going pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like, you want to keep going? I said, no, because I'm just going to keep going faster. And
are you thinking you might get one, or that was just a little fling you had?
Yeah, a little fling. That fire will always be there. The adrenaline from it is just amazing. It's such a great sport. I love everybody that I know from it. I got to cross paths with legends, multi-champ champions that inspired me, that were mentors at that time, and I was listening to their words a lot more than others. And so that industry is always locked in. I don't know if my kids will race. Having concussions at 8 years old and 10 years old, like that's not good.
No. So did you? I'm just curious. One last question on that. Was it during a race when you crashed?
No, it was my dad's birthday. We rented the track for his birthday. So it was all family and friends.
Wow.
And I was in undergrad. And I'm going, man, I got a half a morning. I want to go ride with everybody. And then I'm going to work at Office Depot, slinging the copy machines. And I go, man, I want to ride. And they go, well, we got to water this track. You got the other track. Go ride that one. So I'm riding that other one, just having fun on my bike by myself. And then I noticed everybody making their way to the track, to the other track that was getting watered. And I've been on my dirt bike my whole life. I'm looking around. The whole track's watered. You know when it's watered because it turns dark brown. Everything else is light brown. So you can clearly see that it's all watered. No water truck in sight, but it was a private rental day. So there's only one track official there, and he was in the water truck. So I didn't have the ability to say, could he possibly be in that one spot of the track that I'm about to go and I can't see? So I make some assumption of risk, which ends up screwing me later in getting any kind of settlement from this and having to deal with what happens when you do this. Make the assumption of risk that he's not behind it, jump the jump, and bang.
Yeah.
So what happened? You I think you had surgery and hospital time and.
Yeah. This story is about to come out. The Oil and Gas Network, they did a story on me. I got pictures of that stuff. Yeah, I was smoked. I was knocked out. I went through a gnarly time.
Man, that's
yeah.
Well, it kind of, I don't know. I don't think I'm not necessarily one of those everything for a reason kind of that doesn't always fit in, but wow, it's certainly, I guess if anything, you've taken great advantage of that in your spirit and your vision and how you everything from that point on. So it's just part of that. That's part of the journey, man. I don't have anything nearly that dramatic. Mine was all self-imposed, but I look back and it's just, well, I don't know. I guess I just had to do that. I can't really explain it. I don't know why I did those things, but here I am. And so again, what do? We go out and inspire others. We create crusades and
sharing their stories
and care for our families and move on. So anyway, well, I think, wow, that's too much, man. Awesome. You spent a lot of time. So enjoyable always. Tim, you want to finish us up there?
Yeah, well, I mean, we think we sort of talked about it just to sort of keep it on a lighter note and have maybe a mystery topic or conversation. And I think we could, if we wanted to, get appropriate, but we're going to keep it really light. So, but no, I think, I don't know. I have a list of stuff that just I could throw randomly. And I like to travel. I've worked around the world. I like your map that you got going on the back there. As you travel from state to state, each type of person is different. And I was curious, I'll ask both, if you could remove one U.S. state, which state would you get rid of?
Oh man, I'm not touching that one. Not really. I mean, honestly, I haven't been in enough.
Right.
But I'm a diversity guy, man. I love it all. I love food. I'm a foodie. So wherever I go, man, it's always interesting. And I that's my comment.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to answer.
If it wasn't for the geology of California, I'd say you can sink that. But geology's amazing, man. And of course, I grew up there. I got family there.
Yeah. No. I think I'm a California guy. I think the worst thing in California are Californians themselves.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a community there. If I would say just one of the small, well, there's so much history though. I was going to say like Maryland or Delaware.
Oh,
yeah.
So, just merge,
Get rid of New Jersey.
Right, call it one thing.
Rhode Island, you can walk across it.
That's funny. Well, listen, man. Hey, I just want to say great time today. Thanks so much again. And best of luck with everything. I know we're going to stay in touch, whether it's visible to everybody else or just through DM or whatever. But really, thanks so much for sharing such a great story and being such an inspiring guy for a lot of people and helping helping create whatever this new industry is going to look like, wherever you're going. You're on the leading edge, and best of luck with all of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bunty, he always makes me laugh.